At Dunridge High, Tyrese Carter was just another new kid. Quiet, reserved, and oddly calm for a 17-year-old. But his past? It was anything but ordinary. Trained by his father, a decorated Delta Force operator, Tyrese wasn't just navigating high school. He was trained for something far more dangerous. When his father's secret past came to light, Tyrese found himself at the center of a conspiracy that would change everything. This is the story of a teenager who became a legend, and the enemies who underestimated him. Stay tuned for a story of survival, courage, and the price of silence. When Tyrese Carter arrived at Dunridge High, no one paid much attention at first. He was polite, quiet, and sharply observant. Teachers appreciated his respectfulness. Students found him odd but harmless, and the principal noted that he had an almost military posture. What no one saw, what no one understood, was that Tyrese was watching them too. Every hallway, every entry point, every security flaw. It wasn't paranoia, it was training. He had moved in with his grandmother, Miss Lorna, after a sudden relocation from Colorado Springs. His mother had passed, and his father well. No one really knew what happened to Elijah Carter. Tyrese simply said, he served. When asked where, he'd pause. Delta Force. That name became a joke. Deputy Bill Owens, the school's campus cop, was the first to laugh. Delta Force, he sneered, loud enough for the whole lunchroom to hear. What is this? Call of Duty high school students picked up on it fast. They called him Delta Boy. Tyrese never reacted. That made it worse. Quiet always makes people nervous. What no one knew was that Tyrese had been trained since he could walk. Elijah Carter was real. And he wasn't just Delta Force. He was the prototype for something darker, the Legacy Protocol. A military initiative scrapped after whistleblowers leaked ethical concerns. Training children as tactical assets, unthinkable. Until Tyrese. At night, Tyrese ran drills through the backyard, leapt silently over fences, mapped escape routes. Miss Lorna thought he was grieving. He was preparing. Then the surveillance began. A silver sedan parked across the street for hours. Miss Lorna caught a man rifling through her trash. Letters arrived coded. In his father's cipher burned immediately in the sink. One day, Tyrese was ambushed behind a hardware store. Two men. No insignia. He dropped his backpack and dismantled them in seconds. One had a fractured spine. The other never walked again. Owens was called. He rolled his eyes. This isn't a movie, son. You just got lucky. But things changed fast. Captain Alvarez from the U.S. Army visited Dunridge High. He said little but observed everything. Owens tried to interrogate him, accusing Tyrese of being a fraud. Alvarez didn't flinch. You'll want to be ready when his father shows up, he said coldly. A week later, everything changed. It was a Tuesday gym assembly. Students were half asleep, scrolling their phones, until the doors opened. Master Sergeant Elijah Carter walked in decorated, precise, and silent. Uniform ironed crisp, combat medals gleaming. The room froze. Owen stepped back. Elijah said nothing. He looked at his son, then scanned the crowd. It was enough. That night, Tyrese told Miss Lorna everything, about the training, the drills, and the truth. She listened, silent tears in her eyes. Your father tried to protect you, she whispered. He thought if you were prepared, nothing could ever touch you. But the past wasn't done with them. A rogue element from the Legacy Protocol had activated a purge mission, Operation Vulture Shade. Their goal eliminated all traces of the program, including Tyrese. Federal agents were compromised. Local law enforcement was paid off. Surveillance logs traced back to a dummy shell company that was funneling intel directly from Dunridge. And Owens. He wasn't just mocking Tyrese. He was feeding real-time data to the operatives. Tyrese hacked the logs, Elijah followed the money. Together, They traced the operation to a remote warehouse outside town, a forgotten relic once used for munition storage. Inside were crates of weapons, false IDs, and an execution list. Tyrese's name was circled in red. Miss Lorna's too. They knew it was time. That night, father and son suited up in full tactical gear. They launched a counter-assault from a hidden war memorial where Elijah had stored fallback equipment for years. The plan was clear: expose the network, retrieve all remaining data, and dismantle the operation from the inside. The warehouse showdown was brutal. Hostages were rigged with proximity mines. Tyrese defused them using techniques Elijah had drilled into him since he was 5. One wrong move, and the entire structure would have collapsed. Instead, they emerged with footage, files, and live testimony from a former legacy officer who had been held captive inside. By dawn, federal agents descended on Dunridge. Councilman Whitfield, father of Tyrese's biggest bully, was arrested for laundering money for the program. Deputy Owens tried to flee. Military police intercepted him in the school parking lot. His final words? "I was just following orders." Tyrese returned to class a week later. This time, no one laughed. Teachers stood when he entered. Students nodded with respect. Even the principal apologized in private. He wasn't Delta Boy anymore. He was the survivor of something darker than anyone in that town could imagine. In the months that followed, the truth unraveled. National headlines, congressional hearings, a documentary titled Legacy Protocol, America's Secret Sons, premiered on streaming services. Tyrese and Elijah declined interviews. They had nothing left to prove. But late at night, in the quiet corners of Miss Lorna's house, Tyrese would sometimes open the old training journals. Not to practice, but to remember. To honor the boy who had been trained to survive, and the man who had taught him how to live.